Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Tuesday, June 15th edition of the MMAOB Daily Podcast. I'm your host, as always, Adam Martin. I'm joined by Mr. Big Marcel there. It's a special time tonight, guys. Marcel had some stuff going on during the day, so we're going to do it tonight for an hour, as always. I had Ige on the show yesterday. Today's his birthday. I wanted to give him a happy birthday. Mentioned it was my dad's birthday yesterday, so all these guys are having birthdays that are connected to the show, which is awesome. Marcel, I know you wanted to ask me about this, so I'll just mention it. I did get verified on Twitter today, guys, which is unbelievable. I mean, I'm beyond excited. Like, I'm still surprised. I got to be honest. Here's the thing: I applied for it in 2015 or 16, whenever they did it. They had the applications the last time, and at that time, everyone got it. James Lynch, Kareem Zidane, Nick Baldwin, all these guys got it, and they denied me. And I was just as much a part of the community back then as I am now. So I got it rejected then, and that's why I thought, this time I might as well throw it in and see what they say. Luckily, I got accepted, man. So I'm beyond excited. I deserve it. I know I do, but it still was a surprise. I got to be honest, Marcel. So I appreciate the kind words, though, man. I know you had some kind words, and I think you deserve it too, quite frankly. Especially with a guy like you. And I told you this. You're always getting fake people, fake profiles. It'd be good for you to have that thing. So like I said, man, I have no idea how they do it. But, I had some people saying, how come, you're verified and, Adrian Yanez isn't and, Rose Namajunas? Guys, that has nothing to do with me, literally. I'm a journalist. I deserve to be verified. I don't know why they're not. I have no idea, but it has nothing to do with me. So I just wanted to mention that because people are tagging fighters that aren't verified. And I'm like, guys, what does that have to do with me? You know what I mean, Marcel? I don't get it. So anyways, it was a pleasant surprise, bro. And I think you should get it too. Whenever you applied, was it 2 weeks ago? You should be getting it in the next couple of days. Marcel deserves it, guys. So, yeah.
I applied, I think it's now over 1.5 weeks ago or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
I haven't heard anything back, but
yeah.
I mean, I don't expect anything, to be really honest, but
Either.
that would be nice. But it would be nice for those imposters, it's just annoying to me. So people are like, it's kind of a compliment, that people do it. But the thing is, if they're going to spread false news and people think it's me, it's damaging. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I agree.
And by the way, man, let's not get off the topic, man. I'm super happy for you. You know that. I think you deserve it. And you deserve it for a long time, man. I'm glad they finally give you the recognition you deserve. And I mean, for many people saying it's just Twitter verified, but this is big. I know this is big for you, man, and I'm super happy for you.
Thanks,
I think you're amazing, man. You do so much for the industry, for the MMA media, for anything. So I'm super happy for you. And also, let me add to that, happy birthday to you, man, AJ Shulo, and also happy birthday to your dad, man. Yesterday.
Thanks, man. I'm sure he'll be happy for it. I don't know if he's still drunk, but he was yesterday. That's for sure. I got him a case of beer. My mom got him a bottle of liquor. My sister got him a case of beer. I'm pretty sure he's all enjoying himself. But yeah, happy birthday, AJ. But yeah, you're right, Marcel. I mean, listen, at the end of the day, it's just a good thing for us guys as people that love this podcast, and it's just hopefully going to help everyone grow. So today, like I said, we have a late edition of the show, but we're still going to cover the card this weekend, UFC Vegas 29. Now, there were a couple fights that fell off at the last second. Now, you want to talk about the news you broke today, Marcel? Tim Means is off the card. Who's he fighting now?
Yeah, I didn't really broke it myself, but I knew about it. But the UFC was quicker than me, so yeah, whatever. Tim Means is off the card. Danny Roberts has COVID-related problems,
Okay.
Yeah, Tim Means is fighting Nicolas Dalby, who was supposed to fight Serghei Gendoshko next week.
Yep.
So Means is on that card now. So there's still a spot to fill in for Sumudaerji, who was supposed to fight Tim Elliott. I don't know what's going to happen with that one, but yeah. And the card is still not finalized.
Next week's card, yeah. That's the Gane and Volkov card. That's the last one in June. Anyways, yeah, so that fight fell off. I got to be honest, I actually didn't get a chance to even break it down. I just based on, the matchup, I was leaning towards Tim Means, but I didn't even get a chance to break it down. Thankfully, you were able to tell me that this morning. The fight was off. I saw Tim Means' tweet already anyway, so I knew it was off, but I'm glad he's going to fight again next week. Anyway, so we got 12 fights to get through today. And I mean, the card's okay. It's not the greatest card, guys. You look at this card and you're like, there's no huge names besides the main event, but there are some pretty decent matchups on here, and I can't wait to talk about you guys. So let's get into it, Marcel. We'll start with the first fight of the night, women's flyweight bout between Laura Procopio and Casey O'Neill. Odds right now: Laura Procopio -150, Casey O'Neill +130 underdog. Marcel, what do you think of this one, man?
I agree with the odds, by the way, to be honest. I think Lara Procopio, um, she showed herself against Molly McCann, man. We all know she fought Cara Rosa in her UFC debut, went to a split decision. I think Rosa should have won that unanimous, to be really honest, but it was a competitive fight. After that, I gotta do my fan a little bit like that because it's blowing in my ear. I think Casey O'Neill. Yeah, Casey O'Neill had a good debut, man, against Shanna Dobson, but Shanna Dobson, she's not in the UFC anymore. Don't want to talk any shit because I think she's a nice person, but didn't really think she was really UFC material, to be really honest. Before that, I saw some fight from Casey O'Neill. Not really impressed, before she fought in the UFC. She did impress in her Shayna Dobson debut. So, the thing is, I think Procopio might be too strong for her, definitely on the ground, And the thing is, I think the popular pick for this one would probably be Casey O'Neill. But I'm going with Procopio, man. I think she has more. She's stronger, and definitely if she can take the fight to the ground. Although O'Neill is not bad on the ground, I just think Procopio is a little bit better. So I'm going with Procopio on this one. I'm going with a unanimous decision.
Yeah, this is pretty close fight. I see a lot of people, just from what I saw briefly on Twitter, they're all over Procopio here. I'm not so sure, guys. I gotta be honest. I think this fight's close. I really do. Casey, I agree. Like, she didn't look that impressive on the regional circuit. I wasn't too impressed. And I even had some question marks about the Shayna Dobson fight. I thought, maybe this is too much of a step up, but she looked good in that fight. There's no doubt about it. Procopio's looked good in the UFC too. I kind of feel like it's almost grappler in this fight. Like, they both like to grapple. So it's a tough fight to call, guys, honestly. I think Casey O'Neill, though, like, there's a little bit more upside here with her. She's a little bit younger. She's a little bit taller. She has a longer reach in this fight. It's a close fight, but I see small edges in her favor. So I don't know. It's close, but I would think it's dog or pass, Marcel. I got to be honest with you, man. I think this fight it should be lined as a pick'em, and Procopio is a little bit too high of a favor right now. So I would probably take the shot at the dog here, but again, we'll wait a few days. Today's Tuesday. Fridays are the weigh-in, Saturdays are the fight. So we break it down earlier in the week, but right now my lead would actually be the dog there. All right, let's go to the next fight here, Marcel. Joaquim Silva against Ricky Glenn. They changed his name. It's not Rick Glenn anymore. It's Ricky Glenn, guys. So, yeah, he goes by Ricky now. I thought that was a mistake of Tapology, but UFC Stats changed his name too. So he did change his name, apparently. Added the Y to it. All right, Marcel.
I want you to call me Marcelli from now on.
Marcel Dorff. Okay, Marcelli. We got close odds for this one. Glenn actually opened as the favorite here, and the line flipped now, and Joaquim Silva is the favorite now, minus 130, plus 110 for Rick Glenn. So what are you thinking in this one, man? Pretty close fight, too.
Yeah, it's a pretty horrible fight to pick, in my opinion. I really liked Joaquin Buckley for a long time, and then
Joaquim Silva, you mean, not Joaquin Buckley, man.
I'm so sorry, Joaquim Silva, man. Oh man, that's so bad. Joaquin, not to BJJ, guys. I know what I'm talking about. Joaquin Silva. He's from Evolução Thai. So yeah. I mean, I like him for a long time. I think he's a good fighter, but when he gets more tough competition, he doesn't show up, man, in my opinion. The Vince Pichel one wasn't really good. And then Nasrat Hakparas, he got knocked out in that one. He got a nice win over Jared Gordon in the fight. I think wasn't going his way. I don't know exactly anymore. Adam can tell you more about that probably later. Ricky Glenn, it's still so weird to call him Ricky Glenn. I always call him Rick Glenn, Man, everybody remembers that fight against Gavin Tucker. The crazy fight, man. He dominated him from start to finish, and the referee could have interfered a few times, but he didn't. Lost his most recent fight to Kevin Aguilar, but it was in 2018 already. So a long time away from the cage. Joaquim Buckley's most recent fight is in 2019, so also pretty long time away from the cage. Man, 50-50 to me, this fight, man. I think the popular pick here would be Rick Glenn, but I'm feeling Joaquim Silva can probably put him away. I'm going with Joaquim Silva via TKO in the second round.
Yeah, this is tough. This is a fight I'm looking at. I'm scratching my head. As much as I watch these guys' fights back, it's still a hard fight to pick. I'm leaning a little bit towards Silva too, though, Marcel, just a little bit, because I do think he is a little bit more well-rounded. Like, I like his striking a little bit better. He is a good striker. He does have a little bit of power too. Rick Glen's also moving up to lightweight in this fight. He was fighting at featherweight previously, so I'm not sure how strong he's going to be at lightweight compared to where he was at featherweight, because I watched that Evan Dunham fight back. That was at lightweight, and he got taken down and controlled in that fight. So I'm a little bit worried that, yeah, he's tall and everything, but he's not really like a strong dude. He's got that like long, tall frame. I'm not sure, Marcel. This is a tough thing to call. I mean, both guys have just been really lackluster in the UFC. I'm actually surprised they're both still on the roster, to be honest with you. But the thing that really is just confusing about this fight is the layoff, right? For both guys. Like you said, Ricky Glenn, almost 3-year layoff, and Joaquin 2-year layoff. So you got two guys haven't fought in a long time. They're coming back. They might look like different fighters. We don't really know. So it's a tricky fight. It really is. I'm leaning towards Silva a little bit. I think he's just a more solid fighter, but it's very close, Marcel. And I'm worried about that guy's durability too a little bit. You know, he is coming off a knockout loss his last fight. So Rick Glenn, he's a guy that, as we saw against Gavin Tucker, man, he can throw the kitchen sink at you. So, you know, I'm a fan of Rick Glenn, Marcel. I've known him for a long time because I watched him come up on the regional scene. He fought a couple of shows here in Ontario. So I've been well aware of him for years. And I remember even when he fought in WSOF and was a champion there. So he's a good fighter, but I feel like he's a little past his prime now. They're both 32, but it feels like Silva is a little bit more in his prime. All right, let's go to the next fight here. This is interesting too, Marcel. Josh Parisian against Roque Martinez. And a lot of people were asking how to pronounce his name. It's Roque, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure it is, because John interviewed him and he called him Roque, and commentators called him that. So a lot of people were calling him Rock or Roque. It's Roque, I'm pretty sure. He's a Guam guy. I didn't even know he spoke, like, they do speak English there, obviously, but he was talking to John. Great interview. I definitely recommend it, watching that one. And Josh Parisian did an interview, I think, with James too. I watched what they were saying. I was interested to hear both guys' mindsets coming off their losses. And this before I get your breakdown, Marcel, it was interesting to hear Parisian talk about, he said he had the UFC jitters in his debut against Parker Porter. He said he felt like the jitters and his legs were really like, they felt like molasses kind of. So I can see that happening. Roque Martinez just pretty much embarrassed after that last fight. Or the Romanov fight was even worse. But anyways, I mean, it's an interesting fight. I mean, a lot of people are going to look at this and they're going to be like, this is a slop fest. It could be, but it could be a fun fight too. We'll see. Because I like that Parisian Porter fight. That was I called him Porker. I meant to say Porter. That was, oh my God, sorry, Parker. Anyways, I know, right? It was a good fight though. Two big boys. Anyways, this fight, and I'm not one to talk. Me and Marcel are both heavyweights too, so we're the Porkers too. Josh Parisian, Marcel, very small favorite here, -130. Roque Martinez +110. Who's your pick?
I had to laugh because someone else always said that to me as well. So the same name, but this is also that. So that's why I had to laugh. Yeah, man. I mean, the Octagon jitters. I mean, you had the jitters when you had the first podcast with me, so it's all good. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, Josh Parisian. Man, I remember him winning in the Contender Series, and he thought he was going to get a contract, and Dana was like, we're doing a heavyweight season Ultimate Fighter next year, and you will be one of the contestants. And he was like, oh my God, actually, really don't feel that. But yeah, some way he didn't win the Ultimate Fighter. Got back in the Contender Series 1, got his chance, lost to Parker Porter, like you said. Parker Porter actually looked good in that fight.
He looked really good.
Yeah. Roque Martinez came from Ryzen, was a very short notice signing by the UFC to fight Romanov. Romanov was he was not in Romanov's league. Romanov was too good. He lost to Dontail Mays. Is it Dontail Mays? I always have a difficulty to how to pronounce his name.
Yeah, Dontail Mays. Yeah.
Dontail Mays. So he lost to him as well. The thing is, I think if Josh Parisian, I know he likes his striking and that kind of stuff, but I think if he gets a takedown and he can control Roque Martinez, he probably will win. So I'm taking him via ground and pound TKO.
Nicholas says, hey guys, been a minute, can't watch live. That's all right, man. Congrats on vacation. I appreciate that, man. Thanks, Nick. I know you're a big supporter, man. Appreciate it. Yeah, this is a tough one because you know what? I got to be honest. So my initial thought looking at it, I'm like, all right, Parisian's a guy I like a lot. From Contender Series, he should have been in the UFC. We all thought he should have been after he knocked out Greg Rebello. Now, I went back and watched his fights during his run yesterday, during his 6-fight win streak before the Porter fight. Because I remember being really surprised when Porter won that fight. And obviously he had that great win on Contender Series where he looked good. But I watched these fights again, Marcel. Guys, he's really not as good as I thought he was, Josh Parisian. He's not as good as I thought he was at all, to be honest with you. He has a lot of holes in his game. His cardio is really bad. He can get taken down himself. His striking defense isn't good. His chin's not great. I'm not impressed after watching the fights back. I got to be honest with you, Marcel. So I got to be honest with you. I'm not. Go ahead.
Maybe he can try to learn some judo throws from his brother Karo Parisi.
That's so funny. They're not actually related, but anyways.
No.
Like I've been stumping for this guy for a while, but I looked closer. He's not as good as I thought. And Roki, don't get me wrong, he looked terrible in the 2 fights. Okay, the Romanov fight especially looked absolutely awful. The Mays fight, he could have probably won that fight, but I think he can win this fight, man. It's crazy as it sounds because I think this guy's looked terrible, and I assumed I was going to fade him, but I actually feel like this is a winnable fight for Roki, and I'll tell you why. Because I think he has better cardio and more toughness and durability. I don't think he can knock this guy out. The only fight he's ever lost by TKO was against Procopio, and that was a terrible stoppage, Marcel. You saw that fight too. Brutal stoppage. They had no business stopping this fight. This dude is so tough. We saw that against Romanov. Like, Romanov kept punching him in the head. He wouldn't get knocked out. Like, it was crazy. I think he's tougher than Josh Parisi, and I think he's more durable, and I think he can win this fight. So I wasn't expecting to pick Roki based on the first 2 fights, but I'm not impressed by Parisian, man. I'm not impressed by either guy, but I'm a little bit more impressed by Roki at least having heart and toughness. I don't know if Parisian has that. So, yeah, man, I'm going to go with the underdog here, Marcel. What
are the odds?
The odds are close. Did I not read them? Sorry, guys, if I didn't read them. The odds, minus 130, plus 110. So It's essentially like very close, but slightly towards Parisian. So, yeah, I mean, he could win because he's obviously the bigger guy. He is going to have a weight advantage. I should mention that. He'll have a bit of a weight advantage, but the cardio really bothers me, Marcel. And again, a lot of these fights he's won, he'll take a guy down, just punch him. He'll get mount and punch him in the head. But the guys he fought, guys, they suck. I'm sorry to say, but these guys that he fought in like Detroit, Michigan on the way up, they stink. They're not good fighters. And he basically got them down, punched them in the head until they were done. I don't know if that works at the UFC level. It's something you always got to watch out for in the regional scene. Just because a guy can get a takedown, get full mount, and punch a guy out doesn't mean he can do it at the UFC level. And as we saw against Parker Porter, you couldn't put that guy away, Marcel, and that is concerning to me because I'm sorry, but I know Parker Porter, like, he looked good in that fight, but come on, all of us thought he was going to get knocked out in that fight, just like he got knocked out by Dawkins. So, yeah, I don't trust Parisian anymore, guys, and I'm actually leaning towards Martinez. All right, let's go to the next fight, Marcel. We have it's an interesting fight here. Pardon?
Crazy that's so low on the card, this one.
I know. This fight should be maybe opening the main card or even on it instead of that Wellington-Turman fight. But Matt Semelsberger taking on Chaos Williams. I really like this fight. This is an awesome fight. Minus 155 for Chaos, plus 135 for Semi, the Jedi. Give me your thoughts, man.
Yeah, this is a great fight. This is between 2 guys who have done really well so far in the UFC. You know, definitely, if you look at Semi the Jedi and Matthew Semelsberger, 2 wins in the UFC, that crazy quick KO win.
I bet on that. That was the easiest bet I ever had in my life. I couldn't first punch. I mean, McKinney was easier. McKinney was 7 seconds. This was 16 seconds. Like, I couldn't believe it. I had him and I had the fight not going the distance, and they both cashed under a minute. So it was a good night for me. Go ahead.
Normally, people say when you cut your hair, you lose your strength, you know, but he cut his hair and he gained strength. The Carlton Minus fight, Minus didn't look good in the fight at all, and I think Semelsberger was just a level above him, man, and he won the fight unanimous decision. For that, I've seen him fight in the Cage Fury where he won against Zulkarnain with a very difficult name. A guy he won the split decision there. I mean, Semelsberger looks good now. Chaos Williams. The thing what I have with Chaos Williams, man, if he doesn't get that knockout, I don't know how he will fare. You know what I mean?
I have the same concern. Yeah. Please continue. I want to hear your thoughts on this one.
Because I mean, you saw he had so much hype, knocking out Alex Morono in his debut. Then he knocked out Abdulrazak Al Hassan. And we got to say with Al Hassan, man, since his comeback after such a long layoff, he hasn't looked good at all. You know, so how? And then he lost to Pereira, which was a close fight, but I think Pereira won the fight. So how does he fare against a guy at Semelsberger who can go 3 rounds? I don't know. And Semelsberger got knockout power as well, which Chaos Williams has as well. So this is actually was all ingredients to get the fight of the night here, and even get maybe a performance of the night. Smart pick here. I think Semelsberger via decision probably. I think Semelsberger has more ways to win in this fight than Chaos Williams probably has. So I'm going with Semelsberger.
I like both guys. They're both good fighters.
Yeah.
But I'm leaning a little bit towards Semelsberger as well here, Marcel. I kind of agrees a little bit more well-rounded in my opinion. Throws a little bit more straighter punches. Chaos Williams, like he can kill you with those hooks and everything. But I question the cardio a lot. If he goes out there and tries to knock Semelsberger out, he could do it. I have seen Semelsberger hurt in past fights, so his chin's definitely not the greatest. It's definitely something I'm worried about going forward with him. But I think if he doesn't get KO'd, he's the better fighter. I think he is the better grappler. Chaos Williams' grappling is okay, but it's not great. And I got to be honest, I was kind of surprised he lost to Pereira in the last fight. And I feel like watching that fight back, the biggest thing that really hurt him in that fight was Pereira's movement. He moved really well in the cage. And Semelsberger moves well too. So I think that he can kind of stick and move Marcel. I feel like he can kind of do the same thing and win this fight like on points or maybe get a stoppage. I'm leaning towards Semelsberger a little bit, guys. So yeah, I think it's Dogger Pass too. I'm with Marcel on this one. Let me get these comments here. Daniel said UFC matchup 2 guys let down by their gas tank. He was talking about Parisian and Roki. I'm with you. And like I said, I actually think that Roki is the better gas tank. Even though he doesn't look like he's in shape, I actually think he's got the better gas tank.
Let's be really honest. Heavyweights under top 15 always got to fail the gas tank. You know
yeah, it's true. I just think it's decent. I think it's okay. I think it's probably as good as Porter's, possibly. So, and Porter, you saw what he did to him. Let me get Jamie's comment. Hey, Jamie. He says, it's a guy who looks like a sneaky good card. I'll always tune in from the zombie fights. Love that man. Remember watching him fight Garcia in WEC. What are your favorite Korean zombie moments? I got a couple. So, I was watching his fights back in the day. I got a couple, guys. So, I love the guy. Go ahead. Yeah.
I also got my least favorite zombie moment. So.
Okay, I got. Let me talk about a few, and then I'll get yours. So for me, the number one would definitely be the Twister because I'd never seen that submission before. I had no idea what it was, and I watched that fight with my friends. We were freaking out. Joe Rogan. I was watching it again today. Joe Rogan and Goldberg freaked out. You gotta love it, right? They were so excited. He's got a Twister. Oh, that was sick. I've never seen that submission. I know it's called a guillotine wrestling or something, but we don't do wrestling in Canada, so I didn't really know what that was, and that was unbelievable. But the first fight with Garcia in WC was unbelievable. But I got to go with also, I was at the fight with Mark Oleinik where he knocked him out in 7 seconds. I was at that fight. That was nuts. And then the fight with Dustin Poirier where I bet on Korean Zombie at plus 350, I think he was. He was a huge underdog against Dustin Poirier. What was it? Yeah, he was like plus 250 or 350. So those are my favorite moments of the guy. I absolutely love the dude, and I can't wait to watch him fight. We'll talk about his fight. But give me your thoughts, Marcel, your favorite and I guess least favorite moment.
Favorite Twister, obviously. The Dustin fight, because I called that as well. Yeah. I also had Zombie in that fight, so this was beautiful. The Dennis Bermudez knockout after coming back after 4 years.
Yep.
Yeah, I loved that as well. And then when he also, I think he was also an underdog against Moicano, and he also knocked him out in the first minute. Yep. So those are most of my favorite ones. My least favorite one is probably the fight where he was leading 4-1 in rounds, probably against Jair Rodriguez, and got knocked out in the last second by that spinning elbow, which was a beautiful knockout, man. But man, it kind of sucked, man, because if Jair would have dominated that fight and he would knocked him out like that, it would have been beautiful. And now it's like you can't say it's undeserved, but it felt like undeserved. You know what I mean?
I know you've talked about that before. That's your opinion on it. That's fair. That was a crazy fight. I can't believe we forgot about that, guys. That fight's amazing. That was on the 25th anniversary card in Denver. Unbelievable fights. Go ahead.
Yeah, I remember we had some Twitter talk
and then when they changed the graphics, they had like the old school graphics in the cage, the Ultimate Fighter guy and everything. True. That was awesome. I actually would like for them to do a retro show every once in a while. I think it's cool. So today that's to answer your question, Jamie. Hopefully you answered it. Let me get Daniel's question. I'm concerned Semelsberger will be intimidated by the stare down Karius does before the fight. TKO for Chaos, possibly. He's definitely a strong dude with power, so it's possible. And Semelsberger, I like the guy, but I was listening to him, his interview with James. He was talking about how he wants to get in there and do what he loves and also what he fears. And when I hear that comment like that, it does bother me a little bit. At the same time, though, these guys they're cognizant of the fact that when you step in the octagon, you can be killed. You can be killed. Anything can happen in there. The octagon's a dangerous place. So as much as I don't like hearing a fighter say he's fearing the cage, it does make sense, Marcel. Like, you're going in there to get hurt, right? Like, you're going to hurt someone else. It's the hurt business. Mr. Always, congrats on the verification. Thanks, man. Enjoy that joint, my man. There we go. And let's go to the next fight here, Marcel. We've got Verna Jandiroba against Kanako Murata. Interesting fight here. Women's 115. Right now, the odds for this one, minus 135 for Verna, plus 115 for Murata. What do you think, Marcel?
So it's a tough fight, man, to pick, to be honest, man. I think many people will think Jandiroba will do this easily, but man, Murata's good, man, I think Murata's solid. Her only loss came to Renakai, who was like 22-2, with her only
He
two
was also
losses in the
much
UFC.
bigger too.
Yeah, with her only two losses in the UFC as well. She won every other fight she was in, pretty much. Um, I mean, Murata, I really like her, man. She comes from Invicta. She was a champ over there. Got signed by the UFC. UFC was supposed to fight Lavinia Souza. Didn't went through. Randa Marcos took the short notice fight. And she pretty much dominated Randa Marcos in that fight, And I pretty much expected that, to be honest. Not Verna Jandiroba. Jandiroba's good, man. I think Jandiroba's really underrated. She only got two losses on her record, which is to the current number one contender, in my opinion, Carla Esparza, and to Mackenzie Dern. And a fight which was close. Some people scored it for her at 29-28. So, yeah, tough. This is split decision written all over it, in my opinion, and I will pick Jandiroba in this one. I'm really still on the fence. I still might switch to Murata, but right now I'm slightly leaning towards Verna Jandiroba.
Yeah, this is definitely. I think this fight's closer than a lot of people think. I see a lot of people just saying bet on Verna, like she's going to dominate this fight. I think it's close, guys. I do, because Murata's a great grappler, man. I mean, Verna's good at grappling. Don't get me wrong, but Murata is too. Like she's got this style, Marcel, like that Khabib style, where she doesn't let go of your body, like Damian Maia kind of, almost Damian Maia goes right in for that body lock clinch and gets it down. Like she's not shooting traditional doubles and singles; she's going for body lock takedowns, and it's different to defend that. But the thing is, I feel like in this fight, she's a little bit smaller than Jandiroba, which is something to keep in mind. I feel like almost you could be fighting a 105, Marcel. I'll be honest with you. So I don't know. I mean, I think it's a close fight, but I feel like Jandiroba being a little bit bigger gives her a bit of an edge. And I also think if it does stay standing, I do think Jandiroba is the better striker too. So it's close. I think it's a close fight, but I would lean a little bit towards the favorite. I'm just saying this fight's not a wipeout by any means, guys. Murata is a good fighter. She dominated Randa Marcos in her last fight. Absolutely dominated her. So let's give her a little bit more credit than I think some people are. But yeah, I mean, the odds, they're competitive. So there's definitely respect going on both women here. And I think it's going to be a competitive fight, Marcel. You say split decision. I called that fight last week, Murphy and Calder, when I said it's going to be a split decision, and it was. So I have a feeling Marcel might be right about that. Let me get these. Go ahead.
I got so much replies and bad feedback about my scorecard from Murphy against Calder.
Would you score in that fight? Were you scoring a draw?
I had 29-27 for Murphy. It
was a close fight though. And I think that scorecard is justified because the second round could have been 10-8. The third round obviously is Murphy's. It comes down to the first round. It comes down to what you thought won. Calderwood did land more strikes. I can see why people scored for her, but I thought Murphy landed the harder, more damaging strikes. That's why I think that the judges probably gave it to her. So it was a close fight, Marcel. Yeah,
it was close, man.
It wasn't a robbery, guys. Too many people throw that word around. Like, listen, I was pissed because I thought Collier beat what's his name, Felipe. Who do you think won that one? Did you?
Yeah, it was close, man.
Yeah, it was close. That's what I'm saying.
I can't really recall. I did also score the fight, I think. So.
We talked about it yesterday. Like I thought Collier won, but I'm not like crying robbery. It was a close fight. He didn't do enough to show the judges that he absolutely deserved to win. Even though the stats show one thing, but it doesn't matter. The judges don't get those stats. You got to remember that.
Felipe again acted like he won the World Cup.
He won the gold medal at the Olympics. Like I like his personality, but I honestly feel like I feel like he's lost his last two fights against Tafa and against Collier now. I don't think he's that
1-3 instead of 3-1. Yeah,
I don't think he's that good. I really don't. Anyways, let me get these comments here. Let me get Daniel's first. Daniel said Murata decision or Jandiroba submission. Yeah, Verna's got nasty submissions. Great point. Nasty. So it's possible for sure. Verna managed to get Carla's respect. She looked good against Carla too. I mean, it was a close fight, but Carla had a little bit more top control in that fight. Let me get Born again. Or Daniel said he bet on a draw last week with Murphy. That's not a bad bet. You almost got it. Born again. Zombie Yair much closer than people remember. I had it 2-2 going into the last round, and I think I would have scored it for Zombie, right? And then he gets knocked out. So I think that's how I scored. I can't remember. I remember it being really close.
I had a 3-1, man.
There you go. I can't honestly, man. I don't remember the score, but I remember being like super close and knowing whoever won that last round probably was going to win the fight. and he gets the elbow, which was just insane. It almost looked like a fake knockout the way it happened. Like, it didn't look real. Like, it was just like, wow,
I was like, dude, what are you doing, man? The last 15 seconds, you got it in the back, and then the zombie came out. And zombie,
it was crazy. They were like putting their arms up, like, let's go. I just watching it today. I'm like, what is he doing? Terrible fight IQ. You guys think about David Tamer? No, I haven't heard anything. I know he lost to Charles and he got hurt in that fight, but just hasn't fought in a while. It's kind of weird. Him and his brother Daniel. Maybe they were taking a break from the sport. It's possible during COVID. And also Daniel got cut by the UFC. His brother, I think.
I think so.
He lost to Chase Super. I was at that fight in Vegas. He got destroyed by Chase. That's not a good sign. Anyways, so we're both leaning toward. You said Jandiroba or you said Murata?
Yeah, Jandiroba.
Okay, by decision. Yeah, I'm probably thinking that too. But I do think a sub is possible. I think that's definitely an interesting shout there, Daniel. And the odds by submission only plus 275. The odds, I wouldn't even touch it. Props are hard enough to hit, guys. They're like you saw last week with the Paul Craig fight. He's apologizing to people that he's like, sorry guys, it was a knockout, not a submission. That's not his fault though. The stupid referee screwed you guys. That's a bad beat. All right, let's go to the next fight here, Marcel. The last prelim. Negu Mariano against Aleksei Camber. I think I got his last name right. It's a tricky one, but Negu Mariano. Right now, Camber is a big favorite here, minus 250. Negu Mariano plus 210. Give me your thoughts on this one, man.
Absolutely justified, in my opinion, man. Nikolai Negu Mariano, I think he's Romanian, right? Lost his octagon debut against Saparbek Safarov in a very nasty fight where Safarov made many falls,
Yep.
But yeah, Negu Mariano, he got 2 wins against some ultimate Eastern European cans, man, in Kovac, Kami Kalman, and Juri Gorbenko. Haven't seen enough from him where I was like, wow, this is good, I'm really not too high on him. Maybe he surprises me on Saturday. Yeah. Aleksei Camber. Camber won against Fabio Cherant in the Contender Series, came in the UFC, defeated Justin Ledet. And then he lost against William Knight, which isn't really a good look to lose to William Knight, in my opinion, after what we saw fought William Knight last time. You called that.
Yeah, that. Yeah.
I still think Camber would probably come out victorious in this one. I see Camber stopping in the first round by KO.
Yeah, this one, I don't know about this one. I got to be honest. I'm not sure because I think Nick, he hasn't fought in forever, right? He hasn't fought in 2 years, and everyone just kind of thinks he sucks because of that one fight. But he looked good in those other fights, man. It's all on YouTube. Just type his name and you can watch the fights. He looked good, guys. Like, his striking looked good. His grappling looked good. He was fighting a bunch of really, low-level fighters. But he does have one decent win over this guy, Hatif Moel or something. He's in PFL now. PFL. Yeah, that's not a bad win. He stopped him in the first round. He looked good in that fight, too. So that's a decent win. I agree that the other wins were garbage, and I agree that the fight with Safarov was very disappointing. No doubt about it. That guy, I don't think is in the UFC anymore. So, yeah, there's a lot of question marks about this guy, but I have a lot of question marks about Aleksei, too. And I like the kid. Don't get me wrong. I mean, he trains with Stipe. I think you mentioned that. Obviously, it's strong style. He's been training with him his whole life. But, he hasn't fought in a while now. It's been 9 months. He's coming. I watched both his interviews with James and with John. He talked about how he had a shoulder injury. He's been out because he had a second separated shoulder. That seems like a serious injury for a guy who's only 25 years old. Another thing, guys, I noticed, this Negu Mariano guy, go to his Instagram. You know who he's training with, Marcel? Kamzat Chimaev. He's training with those guys. I think he's part of their camp because there's pictures of him with Gustafsson and Chimaev. So, I mean, if this guy's been working his wrestling with Chimaev, that could be an ace in the hole in this fight. I feel like it's tricky to bet on these guys that have been out for so long. Like, we saw this a few months ago with that Georges Dano guys. Me and you sat here talking so much shit about that dude. He went out there and starched De Castro. We hadn't seen him fight in 5 years. This Negu Mariano guy, he's like this dude Mike Trezano a few weeks ago. Hadn't seen him fight in 2 years. Comes back and looked like a different fighter almost, right? I still don't know if he won the fight, but it's possible this guy might look a lot better than what he looked like before. So I would really try cautiously with this one. I don't think Camber's as good as people think, man. He didn't look good at all against William Knight, guys. He got dominated by William Knight, who's like a borderline UFC guy right now. Justin Ledet is a guy who got cut. Fabio Cherant is not good at all. We saw against Benefield too. So I'm worried about this guy, Marcel. I got to be honest. I feel like this is a potential spot for an upset, guys. So I'm not sure if I can go out on a limb and call Negu Mariano right now, but I'm thinking about it. I'm not going to lie. And, he does have a 4-inch reach advantage in this fight, which could come into play as well. I'm just not completely sold on Aleksei, Marcel. I'll be honest, But again,
me neither.
Yeah, I recognize the kid, training with the champ, and he's obviously got potential. But there's just some things about him that I'm worried about, and I wouldn't want to lay minus 250 on Aleksei Camber. I know a lot of people are just going to parlay him, thinking that this guy sucks, because he lost to Safarov. But I don't know, man. We've seen a lot of situations like this. A guy loses to someone we think stinks, like Safarov. They go away for a while, come back, and like Danho, look like a different fighter. So this is one where, again, if this guy's training with Kamzat and getting better at his wrestling, Marcel, he might surprise us, man. I would not be shocked if he won. I'm not going to be surprised if he won. Again, my initial thought with this fight was this guy stinks. He lost to Safarov. Then I watched his fights again. I'm like, he's not as bad as he looked. And the thing is, he lost that fight because of his grappling. Camber is not a grappler, really. His grappling is not that great. So if this fight stays standing, I think it can go either way, Marcel, honestly. So we'll see what happens. Daniel said, have to pick Camber based on what we've seen unless we see Nikolai, unless he's made improvements. It's possible he has. That's the thing. He's talking about the size difference between Jung and Knight. Yeah, that's true for sure. Jamie Gadley, check out Manny Bermudez's Wikipedia page. Thinking about it randomly. I remember he used to be a prospect. You and James really liked Adam. Dude, I used to really like him. And I watched this fight back with Davey Grant, and he destroyed Davey Grant. But he can't make weight, so he's not in the UFC. But I really like that guy, Manny Bermudez. We'll talk about Davey Grant in a minute here. But anyways, Marcel, that's it for the prelims. So we pretty much agreed on a lot of the fights, but there was a couple that we actually, I think we were like basically split. Now that I'm looking at it again, I think we were about 3-3 there. So we'll have some change. We'll have some differences of opinion on this card. I think not just for me, Marcel. I think a lot of people will, because there's a lot of you look at the odds, Marcel. A lot of them are very close, right? So they're not like huge favorites. You know what I mean? Like there's some tough fights to call. And I think this one's kind of tough to call too, Marcel. Diego Lima against Matt Brown, man. Diego Lima minus 170, Matt Brown plus 150. I honestly don't know about this one. What do you think?
Man, difficult fight to pick, definitely, man. Diego Lima, he came back in the UFC after the Ultimate Fighter comeback season, remember? And he fought Jesse Taylor in the finale. He lost. Then he lost to Ukami. Then he went through a 3-fight win streak. Some split decisions, which should have been unanimous, in my opinion. I remember him asking for a bonus, right? But he didn't get it or whatever. Then he lost to Bilal Muhammad in this most recent fight. Yeah, and he's fighting Matt Brown. What can you say about Matt Brown? Matt Brown always comes to scrap. You know what Matt Brown's style is. 2-fight losing streak. But gotta say, man, that first round against Miguel Baeza, he almost had him out of there in the first round. So he looked good in that one, but he got knocked out in the second. Carlos Condit fight didn't really look good. I was kind of not surprised, but kind of, how do you say that?
Shocked?
No, also not shocked. That you're I kind of disappointed in that fight from him. Yeah. I expected more, And the thing is, Matt Brown, Matt Brown is already 40, And like you always say, and I agree with you, when you're past 40, it's going to go downwards, And that's for like 99% of the fighters is that way. And you got that 1% that doesn't have that thing going. Trinaldo might be one. Romero might be one. They are still very good after their 40s.
And Henderson was another one because he was juiced up on TRT.
I mean, got to go with Diego Lima, therefore, probably. It's a close fight. Won't be surprised if Matt Brown edges it, but I'm going with Diego Lima. Definitely not a finish, going with a decision winner. Yeah,
this fight's interesting. My initial thought was to take the plus money on Matt Brown, but then I'm watching the fights again. I think he's really hit a steep decline, guys. Like, it really looks like he's past his prime now. He took a lot of damage against Baeza. I know he did well in the first round, but actually after seeing Ponzinibbio pick apart Baeza's head, now we know he's got some issues with the striking defense. So I'm not really sure if it was, Matt Brown looking good or Baeza has some issues with that. Because against Carlos Condit, Marcel, he got out-wrestled by Carlos Condit. When does that happen? That's not good.
If that didn't happen, I might have went for Matt Brown.
I'm with you. I think so too. I think I would have had to, right? But we saw that fight. And so we have a little bit more information now that he does look like he's on the decline. The other thing, I'm looking at the fight, and you can't help but look at Matt Brown's record. It's 22-18. He's essentially a 500 fighter. I'm pretty sure he's less than 500 in the UFC. I'm going to double check right now, but I think he is. It's close. I think he's about 500 in the UFC. He's 7-5 or 8-5 in the regional scene. I do want to mention. I remember watching this fight years ago. He does have a win over Douglas Lima by TKO ground and pound. He got on top of him, beat him up, 2007. So it was a long time ago. So going for the second brother here in Diego Lima. I don't know, man. It's just hard because I think Brown's kind of at the end of his career, Marcel. And, it's not even just the fights recently, guys, but even like Jake Ellenberger really beat him up bad. And Donald Cerrone and these guys Jake Ellenberger, I thought, was completely shot and he destroyed Matt Brown. So that really worries me. I know he looked good against Sanchez and against Saunders, but let's be honest, those guys are at the end of their career. I do want to say, though, the one thing that I did notice he does obviously well is his Muay Thai and his clinch work and his elbows from the clinch. And Diego Lima, when he fought Tim Means, got hurt in the clinch. So if Matt Brown pushes forward and gets him in the clinch in the first round, I think he could knock out Diego Lima. But I think if he doesn't get that knockout, Marcel, I'm pretty sure Lima's going to outpoint him. He's a big welterweight, man. He's a big dude. He fights long too. He fights at range. And I think that, the first time he's in the UFC, he was a great fade because his chin was just not good. He was getting knocked out left and right. But it looks like he's kind of fixed his defense a little bit. He doesn't go as crazy forward as he used to. I think if he does move forward and keeps his chin up, it's possible he can get knocked out. So that's something to keep in mind here. But overall, if Matt Brown can't get him out there in the first round, Marcel, I'm with you. I think he outpoints him and wins the decision. So that's my feeling on it. It'd be nice to see Matt Brown win another fight, but 40 years old, guys, it's hard to trust these guys. And Daniel said after banging Maya last week, I'm done with the oldies. Yeah. I know. I never thought I'd pick Diego Lima over a guy with a bad chin historically against a guy Matt Brown is so aggressive, but he's caught him at the right time. I think you got a 40-year-old against a 31-year-old, Marcel. Go ahead. What are you gonna say?
Nothing. I had to sneeze.
Oh, there you go. All right, let's go to the next one here. Wellington Turman against Bruno Silva. And this fight, close odds. Right now Silva minus 140, Turman plus 120. So pretty close odds. I know you're pretty familiar with Wellington Turman and Bruno Silva's a guy who's been M1 and stuff. So give me your thoughts on this fight, and then I'll talk about them.
The only thing I don't like about Wellington Turman is if I see his name, it always remembers me. I never had beef Wellington.
I know. I never had that either. And there's this baseball player named, what was his name? Wellington Castillo, I think his name was. And I used to, that was his name. His nickname was Beef, right? I used to call him Beef. Yeah. But I never had it before. What is it? What is Beef? I got to check.
It's like some kind of a steak, something. And with,
it actually looks really good, dude. Holy, I got to have some of this now. Okay, I'm having some now.
Amazing.
Anyways, continue.
Yeah, it always makes me hungry. I never had it, but it looks so good. Wellington Turman. I haven't been high on him in the UFC at all, to be really honest, man. He lost to Carl Roberson, was a close fight. I remember that one. Marcus Perez win was good. Perez did some real Joker stuff in the weigh-in, but he got pretty much beat in that fight. And then he lost to Andrew Sanchez by KO, and never expected Andrew Sanchez to knock him out, to be really honest, because Andrew Sanchez is not really known as a knockout artist, in my opinion. Now fighting Bruno Blindado Silva, we got to say. It's not the Bruno Silva on the flyweight bulldog, but it's Blindado. Blindado has actually been signed since 2019 with the UFC, but he got the 2-year suspension from USADA. So this is his debut. Dude is a good fighter, in my opinion, man. He has wins over Alexander Shlemenko, which is arguably one of the best Russian fighters, MMA fighters ever, former Bellator champion. Got wins over Thiago Varejao, which is a good fighter, and also got a win over Artem Frolov. That's his most recent win in 2018, where he won the M1 global title. And that was at the brink where Artem Frolov was supposed to sign with the UFC. And it didn't happen because of some visa issues. He took the fight with Bruno Silva, and Bruno Silva beat him, and he's now in the UFC. So Silva can go long in rounds. He got a 4th-round win by a KO against Frolov. It's been a long time ago I watched that fight, so I can recall the finish, but I can't recall the whole fight anymore. I know I've been high on Blindado Silva. I was also going to bet him against Darren Wynn. So I don't see a win. We see a win for Turman in this one, man. I think Bruno Blindado Silva probably finished him second round.
Yeah, so I'll give my thoughts on these guys, and I'll be honest. Like he did fight in the UFC, Bruno Silva, an Ultimate Fighter. He fought Vitor Moreno. I didn't really remember too much about him, so I had to watch his fights because I hadn't really seen them. So I watched them a couple days ago on Most of them are on YouTube. The Frolov fight's not on YouTube, but if you type it in Google, there's a link to one. I think actually it might be on YouTube now that I think about it. But either way, I watched that fight, and basically he won it because he was better conditioned, which surprised me. Looking at the guy, I thought he would gas out. And also, he took him down and just beat him up and finished him, I think, with ground and pound in the 4th round. So it was impressive. And before that, obviously, he had knocked out Shlemenko. The guy's got some power. He's a tank. Go to his Instagram. The guy's in sick shape for this fight, guys. Like, he's in good shape. I am worried about a guy.
Upsets.
Pardon?
2 huge upsets.
Yeah, the upset over Frolov was massive. And the Shlemenko fight. So it's a guy that historically hasn't getting much respect in Russia, but the guy got some power. Now, I just have concerns because, first off, obviously, the steroid suspension. I mean, he looks good in his pictures. He looks ripped, but we don't even know, like, if it's the same guy that's going to be in the UFC that was the guy in M1 that was juicing. We have no idea, because obviously he was using steroids there because he was caught for them. So the guy who beat Shlemenko and Frolov, Marcel, was juiced up. So I'm not really sure it's going to be the same guy. That's the concern I have. Okay, go ahead.
Shlemenko has always had.
Shlemenko was also juiced. Okay, yeah. But Frolov, I'm not sure if he was. Anyways, the point is, like, I do have concerns about this guy because of that. Now, the other thing is, he had this fight against this guy, Moise Rimbon. I don't know. You probably know this guy because he fought in Too Hot to Handle, and he fought in a few of his other Dutch promotions back in the day.
He did, yeah.
He fought Overeem too, like 2000 or something. So this guy absolutely dominated him 5 years ago in Phoenix FC. Dominated him, took him down at will, and then commered him. He was 40 years old. That's very concerning to me. So, if this dude gasses out and he doesn't get the finish, I think Turman could out-wrestle him a little bit. So, Turman's a little bit younger than him too. I just have some concern with Turman's chin after that Andrew Sanchez fight. That's why I can't pick him here because of the chin. But I think it's potentially Turman mounting a comeback here if he doesn't get knocked out. You know what I mean? That's kind of how I think the fight could go. But overall, I think Silva could get him out of there. So I'm going to lean towards Silva, Marcel. But like I said, when a guy misses 3 years because of PEDs, that worries the hell out of me. So let's go to the next fight here. Julian Erosa, Juicy J against Sung Woo Choi. His nickname is Sting, which is a cool nickname. Sung Woo Choi minus 145. Julian Erosa plus 125. What do you think?
So when Sung Woo Choi got signed with the UFC in 2019, I was like, I don't know, man. Dude hasn't fought for 2 years. He was the former champion of a Chinese organization or a South Korean organization named Top FC. He lost to Mavsar Evloev. I think it was, I don't know if it was a short notice fight, but he lost that one pretty clearly. Then he lost to Gavin Tucker. Won against Suman Mokhtarin in a good showing for him, but Suman didn't live up to his potential in the UFC, in my opinion. So Joseph Salal after that, which I think you called that fight that he should win, that he was going to win that. I thought Yusuf Salal was going to win, so I was wrong on that one. Julian Erosa. Yeah, Julian Erosa has looked surprisingly good in the UFC. So, I have to say, in this Nate Landwehr fight where I knocked him out, the Sean Woodson fight, I think Woodson looked good early in the fight, and then when Erosa got him to the ground in the 3rd round, he easily submitted him. So, actually, Erosa has been on three occasions in the UFC, right? He went from the Ultimate Fighter, then he got re-signed after the Contender Series. He actually didn't get signed for the Contender Series, but he got a short notice opponent spot against Devonta Smith. Such a tough fight to pick, man. I still think Sung Woo Choi has more upside in this fight, man, to be really honest. And he pretty much convinced me of that he is a pretty good fighter when he saw him fought against Joseph Salal. I think he did very well in that fight. Yeah. And Erosa, I don't know, man. He looked great against Nate Landwehr, but Nate Landwehr hasn't showed to me that he is really UFC caliber yet. I know he won against Elkins, but in my opinion, I had that one 29-28 for Elkins, but Elkins pretty much loses every decision now because he's banged up after every fight. Yeah. So now for me, it's Sung Woo Choi in this one. I think the Korean wins unanimous decision.
Yeah, this is a competitive fight. I think both guys have looked pretty good lately. Erosa surprised me, just like you. The fight with Woodson really surprised me. It was a great comeback. He was losing that fight, though. You got to remember that. He came back late. He did some good work, though, to the body. A guy like Sean Woodson, who's so tall and skinny, you should punch that guy to the body. That was smart. So the guy's got a lot of experience. I mean, he has over 30 fights, right? So that's the number one, I think, characteristic for this guy, his experience. He's been in there with a lot of guys. But the one thing that I hate about this guy is his chin. This guy can get knocked out. I mean, we've seen it time and time again. And Choi, man, I know he hasn't got a knockout yet, but watching that Mokhtarian fight back, Marcel, he was teeing off on him. Yeah. And I think that if he gets, roasted in a position like that, he could do the same thing. But even if not, I think Choi's a little bit more of a solid fighter, more defensively sound. And also, I think he's probably the better wrestler too, Marcel. I think he can probably get him down a little bit. The Yusuf's Law fight, I think that's a good win for him. And I think that showed that he's competitive. So two guys that are pretty evenly matched, but I'm leaning a little bit towards Choi here. We got a couple fights left, guys. We'll go to the next one here. Marlon Vera against Davey Grant. It's the rematch. The odds for this one, which are pretty high. They opened really high at minus 325. Thankfully, the line's been brought down to earth. Minus 210 for Marlon, plus 175 for Davey Grant. The first fight, Davey Grant closed as the favorite and won that fight. Now, 5 years later, Marlon Vera is the favorite. What do you think, Marcel?
Yeah, the odds are fucking nuts, guys.
I
if you want to take a shot at someone, take Davey Grant.
Yeah.
If you want to take a shot. The thing is, Marlon Vera, he's been really improved since that first fight, obviously, man. I think he's becoming a top 15 fighter in the UFC. I don't agree with the Song Yadong unanimous decision loss for him. I think he won.
You know what's funny? So I agree with you. And the funny thing is, I was watching it back. My tweets on the TV, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure Vera just won 29-28. And then they unanimously went to Yadong. I don't agree with that one at all, by the way.
No, but Yadong has been very fortunate with decisions before, also against Cody Stamen, for example.
Yep.
So after that, he won against Sean O'Malley. Everybody wants to vanish that fight for some reason, but I think it was a legit win. And then he lost to Jose Aldo, which was kind of concerning to me because he looked good in one round, and then he lost the last two. Yep. So Davey Grant. Yeah, Davey Grant has looked good, man, lately. I mean, I was like, after his two losses to Stasiak and Bermudez, I was like, if he loses the next one, he's gone. And he won that with split decision. I think it should have been unanimous against Grigory Popov if he looked good in that one. And then he knocked out Martin Day. That's what I expected, but I didn't expect him to win against Jonathan Martinez, to be really honest. He knocked him out as well. So do I think Davey Grant is going to knock out Marlon Vera? Probably not. I think Vera has learned from the first fight. He lost that one. That was in 2016. It was in London. Now he's in the US. Man, it's a much closer fight than the odds think, But I think Marlon Vera will probably win this fight as long as he doesn't get knocked out. But I don't think Davey Grant knocks him out. So I'm thinking Marlon Vera by unanimous decision here.
Yeah, that's a good fight. I like the rematch. A lot of people are asking why they're doing this. I think that, both guys are right now about the same spot in the division. The winner will get someone in the top 15, and the loser is going to have to work their way back up. Both guys are good. Vera has been a guy that I bet on a lot in the UFC, especially when he was fighting like really bad competition like Luigi Burin and Guido Canetti and these guys. But now that he is stepping up in competition, I know he should have won against Yadong, but he didn't win that fight. And the Aldo fight disappointed me, guys. It really did. I know it's Jose Aldo. He's a legend, but come on. I mean, he's not the same guy he once was. And he got dominated by him. So that worries me, Marcel. Davey Grant's looked good, guys. Like, he's very tough. I know he's been dropped a lot. He's been dropped a few times in the UFC, but he doesn't get knocked out. His submission defense is a worry if this fight goes to the ground. But the first fight, he didn't get caught in a submission. And he dominated Marlon Vera in that first fight, Marcel. Like, it was a dominant performance. He was just the better fighter everywhere, striking and the ground. I think if he mixes it up in this fight, he can win again. So this reminds me of Ally Quinta and Kevin Lee, and they fought a few years ago, and Ally Quinta won, and they rematched it. Everyone thought Kevin Lee would win that rematch because he was the more improved fighter. He didn't win. Remember that, Marcel, a few years ago?
I remember. Yeah,
this reminds me of that. This same situation. Everyone thinks Vera is the more improved guy, and he's improved. But I think Davey Grant's looked really good. So I'm kind of leaning towards an upset here, Marcel. I think the odds are off on this one completely. I think it's a close fight. I would rather take plus 200 on a guy who's already won, and he's looked good lately. The guy's he's a seriously underrated fighter, man.
Also weird.
Yeah, I mean, it's got down to earth. The odds makers opened it at minus 325. That was high. So there was some big value there on Grant. But yeah, I think it's dog or pass. I really do. So that's my thoughts on this one, guys. Now let's go to the last two fights here, Marcel. I don't know how much time you have to spend on this one because I honestly feel like this fight's so easy to call. Serghei Spivac against Aleksei Oleinik. Right now, the odds for this fight, guys, Spivac minus 220, Aleksei Oleinik plus 180. I feel like there's only two ways this fight goes. Either, Oleinik gets knocked out with ground and pound or punches on the feet, or he randomly gets a submission. But I really like Spivac in this fight, Marcel. What do you think?
So either Oleinik pulls guard and tries to get that Ezekiel choke again, or Spivac knocks him out. And I'm going with Spivac knockout.
Yeah.
I don't think we have to say anything more about
No.
this fight. I think Spivac wins.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think this one actually, guys, this is a reasonable betting line. Minus 220. I think he should be a much bigger favorite Spivac here. So I'm just saying that right now. This is a guy that you might want to play. I understand he's not the greatest fighter in the world. He has been finished before in the UFC, but he's improved a lot. And Aleksei Oleinik dude, he's 18 years older than him. 18 years older, guys. Go ahead.
Actually, also his win against Jared Vanderlei looks much better now. Now we saw Vanderlei's most.
I agree with that too. I mean, he finished Jared Vanderlei, so that was a good win. And Born Again, you're right. The significant strikes were close, but again, the ground control was what worried me. And Davey Grant's a decent wrestler, so I'm just saying I'm a little bit worried about Vera in this fight. I don't know. I think he's good. He's not as good as maybe I thought at first. That's all I'm worried about. But I think it's a close fight for sure. Anyways, Marcel, I'm with you. I like Oleinik, or I like Spivac a lot to knock out Oleinik, guys. What's the odds on that? Spivac by TKO minus 140. Yeah, I think just the minus 220. I mean, that seems reasonable, for a guy that has a clear path to win here. Aleksei Oleinik's the oldest guy in the UFC, except for Barry Renault. He's the oldest male fighter, so he's turning 44 years old next week. The guy is he gets knocked out almost every fight. I don't trust him at all, Marcel. Also, one other thing, Spivac's the bigger guy too. He's like 20 pounds heavier. I was looking at the weights. So Spivac's the heavier guy too, Marcel. So as good as the technique is of Oleinik, and maybe he can get the Ezekiel, I think Spivac can get it done. All right, let's go to the main event. This is the last fight, guys. Korean Zombie, Chan Sung-jung against Dan Ige. Marcel, it's minus 110. It opened at minus 110. It's still minus 110. No one knows who the hell's going to win this fight. The odds makers don't know. The betting public has no idea. But don't you? Who's going to win?
I have a lead to this one, but I'm not sure. So Chan Sung-jung, listen, man, great fighter. We all love him. Last fight against Ortega didn't look good at all, man. And everybody was like, if Ortega gets him to the ground, Ortega might have his way with him. But stand up, man. Korean Zombie is going to be a huge threat to Ortega. But Ortega was better stand up than Korean Zombie, man. It was actually crazy to see. If you look at Dan Ige knocked out Tucker. Crazy quick first round knockout. Before that, lost to Calvin Kattar in a competitive fight, but he lost. Before that, Edson Barboza fight, split decision in a fight. I think Edson Barboza won actually, but I think he was fortunate in that one. But man, I really like Ige, man. I think he's been looking very, very good since his debut loss against Julio Arce. I think he puts it together very well. Everybody said like when he signed with UFC, man, he's really good on the ground, but the stand-up is not that great. I disagree, man. I think his stand-up is pretty nasty as well. If you look at Chan Sung-jung, man, the easy pick probably is Chan Sung-jung here because what he's done in the past, how he finished fights, he's all around, But I feel Chan Sung-jung. That last fight, man, got me really hesitant to pick Chan Sung-jung, man. And I know Ortega is a world-class athlete, and is a top 3 guy, but man, didn't look good in my opinion. And for that, I'm going with Dan Ige, man. I think Dan Ige is younger, has more upside in this fight, and I think Dan Ige wins the fight by unanimous decision.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a great fight. The odds are super close. I'm leaning towards Ige too, though. I got to be honest, Marcel. So I like him. Oakham's Razor picks likes Ige too. Yeah, I mean, it's a pick-up fight, guys. I could definitely see why people like Zombie. I mean, the guy's, like you said, super experienced. He's been around the octagon forever, and he's fought good fighters. But, man, I am concerned about this guy. I think he is on the decline. I really do, because that last fight, I thought he was going to lose. I thought he'd win against Ortega. I thought Ortega was going to lose on the feet. You know what I mean? And like you said, Marcel, it was surprising watching him get beat up for 5 rounds. And, watching that Frankie Edgar fight back, he was a lot bigger than Frankie. I think the size played a factor in that. Mocanio, he caught him with a good punch. He's got power. We know that. But Dan Ige is very good defensively. He's never been knocked out. Calvin Kattar did box him up a little bit. But, Calvin Kattar, I think, is probably a better boxer than Jung. Jung does rely on his power a little bit, to win his fights. And I don't know, man. If this fight goes to the ground, too, I think Dan Ige can match him there. Dan Ige's shown a good ground game. I think beating Barboza might be a better win than Jung at this point. I think that's a good win. And I don't necessarily agree with the judges. I'm just saying, the fact he won that and the Bektic fight, a lot of people thought he wasn't going to win that fight and pull it off. I mean, this guy you look at his odds. I'm looking at his odds right now. Historically, almost all these odds are in the minus 100 range or plus money, guys. So Dan Ige is just a guy that people don't back generally, and he's been doing really well. The last fight with Gavin Tucker showed me he's improved his striking a little bit. I know it was only one punch, but I'd like to see that punch and the power. So I'm with you, Marcel. I'll take Dan Ige in this one too. So it's going to be a good card, I think, guys. I think people are sleeping on it a little bit just because it does lack name value, but it should be a good one. So Marcel, do you have any other fights you can break for us? I know any other news, anything else you got up your sleeve, anything?
Not right now, man. Nothing at the moment, man.
I have to ask, guys. I was trying to get something on Marcel. Okay, let's plug your stuff, Marcel, and we'll get out of here.
Big Marcel24, Twitter, Instagram, MMADNA.nl, wherever you can find it.
There you go, guys. Follow Marcel. Follow me on Twitter at MMAdamMartin. They do verified profile. Hopefully Marcel gets that little check mark soon. He really deserves it. You guys can follow the podcast and theoddsbreaker.com on our YouTube. Generally, we do it at 4 p.m. Eastern on Tuesdays, but Marcel had something going on. I'll be back Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern with AJ Shulo. We'll be breaking down, I think, PFLs for you guys, so that'll be fun to do. In the meantime, bjpen.com, miaminews.com, Fantasy Fanatics, Elite Sports Betting, Elite Fantasy, guys. And, follow me on Twitter. All right, have a good one, guys. And, welcome. So we'll break it down Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern with AJ. All right, guys, have a good one. Talk to you later.